And we also have Greg today, and he'll be covering in for some of the things that I used to do.
Great.
Today's show is sponsored by Shardeum, a Dallas-based blockchain project working on building a faster blockchain to power a more decentralized world. Are you looking to work in the blockchain space and have experience building scalable systems with Node.js? If so, send your resume to jobs@shardis.com. If you're tired of paying high gas fees on slow networks, then check out Shardeum, the EVM-compatible sharded blockchain with low fees, true decentralization, and solid security. Learn more and join the community at shardeum.org. If you are looking for someone who can help you get started in crypto, or maybe you have a business and want to add crypto as another payment option, give Ali a call at 469-466-6628. Again, that's 469-466-6628.
With that, let's cover some of the news which has been happening in the past week. Omar bhai, would you like to start off on that?
Sure. So Bitcoin and Ethereum and other major cryptocurrencies have added close to 10% in 24 hours, almost regaining Wednesday's drop. Bitcoin traded near 38,400 at the time of publication, up from Thursday's low of 34,700. The rebound, which started in the U.S. morning hours on Thursday.
More on the news. Payment giant Block has reported a positive result on the fourth quarter of 2021, signaling an unexpectedly robust outlook for the year. At the same time, major crypto exchange Coinbase also posted quarterly results that exceeded analyst expectations, but its expectation of low trading volume and monthly transaction users in the first quarter of 2022 brought its shares value down. Block, which previously operated under the brand of Square, said in an earnings report that its total net revenue for the fourth quarter of 2021 was $4.08 billion. That's over 29% from last year. Excluding Bitcoin's revenue, the firm's total revenue was $2.12 billion, up 51% compared to 2020. So you can see that in the last year, we have seen a major surge of earnings in the crypto world. Block's quarterly gross profits also increased, totaled $1.18 billion, which was robust, 47% over last year. And the firm's flagship peer-to-peer payment network called Cash App generated gross profits of over $518 million, which is 37% over last year. So the Square ecosystem generated a gross profit totaling over $657 million, which is 54% over last year. Phenomenal results again for Square.
In other news, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway has bought $1 billion worth of stock in Nubank, one of Brazil's largest fintech banks focused on cryptocurrencies. This is not Berkshire's first investment in Nubank. Buffett's firm reportedly acquired $30 million worth of Nubank shares for 30 million Nubank shares valued at $250 million in December 2021, when the latter went public. At that time, Nubank's valuation reached $41.5 billion per CoinDesk report. Berkshire had also bought a stake worth $500 million in the company in June 2021. The investments are interesting given Buffett, who has not been very positive to crypto in the past.
And this is something very interesting to note because in the past, Warren Buffett has always said some things not very positive to crypto. So the fact that he's getting into a bank which is focused on crypto is brilliant.
Yeah, and I also heard that he's selling his shares in Visa now.
Yes.
And so that it's kind of a sign that he's kind of moving away from the old traditional payment systems and into the new, more, crypto-based
With
systems.
the advent of blockchain and with the payment networks coming on there, it's going to be a major disruption in the credit card processing world. So, in order to enable financial institutions and investment managers to govern their crypto investments seamlessly, Bloomberg has partnered with global fintech company called Elwood Technologies. In a statement, the strategic integration will enable institutional investors to combine Bloomberg's workflow, analytics, and data tools with Elwood's crypto trading capabilities. As a result, rendering a unified investment process meant for optimal returns. Therefore, Elwood trading platforms users will transfer the investments directly to Bloomberg AIM, Buy-Side Order Management Services OMS. The financial instrument Global Identifier FGI will also be used as a handler for crypto asset integration. This is again a major move for Bloomberg to get into the crypto world. With that, I would like to introduce our guest for today. We have Hamiz with us, and let me give you a brief intro about Hamiz, so that'll tell you, who he is. Hamiz is the founder and partner of Plutus 21 Capital. Plutus 21 Capital is an alternative investment firm which specializes in blockchain infrastructure investments. The firm's guiding entrepreneurs, executives, family offices, foundations, hedge funds, insurance companies, and wealth advisors in building a thoughtful and unique blockchain investment strategy. Hamiz was born in Karachi, but has done all his education in the US. He's a Don Jackson Fellow from SMU with a degree in finance and alternate asset management. Hamiz is known as an expert on emerging markets, alternative investment, and entrepreneurship. With that, let me invite Hamiz to the air. Hamiz, are you there?
Hey everyone, how are you?
Great to have you on the show, Hamiz. Would you like to start by telling something about yourself as a start?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me. And I'm very impressed with all the work that Omar has been doing over the past couple of years. So really excited to share the stage with him. As you mentioned in my background, I grew up in Karachi and moved to the US to go to school at SMU. And while I was in school, I realized that there weren't many firms that were specializing in really alternative types of investing. And that was one of the early years of blockchain technology becoming a more substantial asset class. And so we started to put together a team that would specialize in this type of investing that, most people really misunderstood or didn't really appreciate enough. Because what we realized was underneath all of the noise about prices and values and investments, there was a really disruptive technology, which we're very excited about. And we think this is, our generation's internet revolution.
Great. And when did you start your crypto journey?
So I first heard about Bitcoin quite late in about 2016. From one of my classes. And so by most standards, most of the crypto people have been in this since 2010 or 2011. So I felt that I was quite late to the party. But nobody has much experience in this space. It's just such an emerging, exciting space that as long as you're willing to learn and learn quickly, you can quickly catch up to what the knowledge is in the space.
And when did you start Plutus 21?
Plutus was officially started in 2017, and we launched our first fund soon after that. So it took us about 6 months, a year to wrap our heads around the type of investing that we wanted to do in this space.
Can you tell us more about Plutus 21?
Yeah, absolutely. So we looked like a very traditional investment firm from the outside in. So we pool capital from institutional investors into our vehicles and then invest them in a few different strategies. So what we really focus on is infrastructure investments. So we invest in the platforms, the protocols, the marketplaces that make the blockchain ecosystem run. And either we invest in the platforms directly as equity or digital asset investments, or we invest in the inefficiencies that we see in those platforms in a market neutral way.
Listeners, our lines are open for calls. Do feel free to call in at 972-235-5555. Again, the number at FunAsia is 972-235-5555. With that, the next question we have for you is...
For someone new looking to, gain experience and get started in investing in cryptocurrency and blockchain, what do you see as a good starting point?
So I obviously can't give any financial advice, but what I believe is the only way to build conviction and an understanding on any investment is to actually try out the products and learn firsthand what this technology is about. So like I was saying in the beginning, underneath all of this talk about prices, there's a fundamental technology that's changing the way that companies and businesses are built. And so the first step would be to actually understand what this technology does and why it might be important. And if you, after, playing around with it and testing it, you come to the conclusion that this could be an important part of the future, it's only then that I would recommend somebody start to consider being an investor. But the first step is first to be a student. And then if your conclusions are positive, then you can think about becoming an investor.
So start with the research, then take some small bites, and then invest whatever you are willing to lose. Would that be the good process to follow?
Yeah, I would say that. I would say spend most of the time as a student, and if you do that, then it won't be difficult for you to become an investor. But if you rush into becoming an investor, you're going to get burned because you don't really understand or understand the intricacies of what goes into investing. Investing is a very boring business. It is not supposed to be fun, right? So if you want to gamble, there's better ways to gamble. But if you're really thinking about investing is supposed to be boring and a very slow and steady process. It's not in and out, quick money.
So one should be prepared for a long run, not just, flipping something out and walking it. Is that correct?
Yeah. Because honestly, your odds are better in Vegas if that's what you're looking for.
Right.
Because there's about 10,000 different digital assets out there and hundreds of other companies. And so your odds of picking the right investment without any knowledge or experience are very low. You're probably better off in Vegas if that's the intention.
Great. Do you have Richard, your co-founder, with you on the line?
No, Richard was not able to make it.
Okay. Now, I think Greg has another question for you here.
Yeah, I guess, what do you see as the future of crypto?
So my big thesis with blockchain is that the way that the last 20 years of innovation happened was we had software companies come in and increase efficiencies by 20, 30, 40% and eat entire businesses, right? Because they ate entire traditional industries and the traditional players did not really have a chance of surviving against them because their cost was just so much lower and the service was so much better. The way that people think about the future is as if for the next 20 years, it's also just going to be better and better software companies eating up the traditional world. But what I actually think will happen is we're going to see the first examples of software itself compete with everybody. So Bitcoin is a great example of this because Bitcoin does not have an office. It does not have a CEO. We don't even know who created it. It's just a piece of software. And it was able to be one of the largest assets in the world just based off of that software and the concept that that software is promoting. And so instead of there being a startup bank disrupting banks, I actually think there's going to be a software bank that is completely run and built using software. And that will compete with everybody. And that increase in efficiency is not going to be 10 or 20%. It's going to be 100-fold increase in efficiency because you can run that bank for an entire year at maybe the cost of 1 or 2 employees at JP Morgan. So it's going to be very, very difficult for any type of company, including ours, to compete directly with software. And so I believe that over the next 20 years, you're going to see software compete with everyone, and blockchain will be a very important part of the infrastructure that allows for that to happen.
Yeah, 1,000% agree. Recently, Omar and I were discussing how, there's a common phrase used in the venture capital space, which is that an application needs to be 10 times better than its competitor for users to adopt it. And so, when considering, what does a decentralized application need to do to be 10 times better? One of the benefits of decentralization is removing the intermediary. And so, similar to how you said, a software bank, could be 1,000 times better than a legacy bank. I also think another use case could be, removing the intermediary from an insurance company. An insurance company is really, a middleman with a group of people who are managing funds and then delegating to those funds when they feel someone is owed capital. And so when you combine something like distributed ledger technology with something like artificial intelligence, which can automatically decide when funds should be distributed, then you're removing a ton of costs in the middle where you have to employ humans to do this manually. So, definitely agree that there's huge benefits here, and the most exciting part is a lot of these use cases haven't been realized yet. We don't know what the future looks like.
Mm-hmm. So you brought up a very interesting point, Taham, as you spoke about, an organization that basically functions autonomously, right? So that buzzword we hear these days is called DAO, D-A-O. Would you like to explain to us what that actually means?
Yeah, if you really think deeply about what companies are just an organization of people. And they all have their different incentives of being part of the organization. Some people are there as owners of the companies, so they have a profit incentive. Some people are there as employees, so they have a salary incentive. And some people are there just because they think that the mission of the company is good enough for them to be a part of this organization. So at the end of the day, a company is nothing but just a group of people. And so what people are doing with the blockchain is that they're coordinating those efforts the way that you would coordinate efforts of a group of people in maybe an LLC or a nonprofit organization. They're coordinating those people's efforts using the blockchain to be the infrastructure that allows for them to make decisions and fund different projects that they're interested in, and pool everybody's capital together and vote on things that they care about. So I would think of a DAO essentially as a group chat on WhatsApp with a wallet attached to it. So it's a group of people that pool their resources and their ideas in this WhatsApp chat. And then they have a wallet attached to this WhatsApp chat that can be used to fund the things that they care about. And there's all kinds of examples of DAOs out there, but there is one DAO that's it's quite interesting to me. It's actually run by Elon Musk's brother. It's called Green DAO, and their purpose is to use the organization of the DAO to further sustainable energy around the world and bring people together who care about that and want to contribute to that cause in the structure of the DAO.
Great. You bring up another very, very valid point here. You were talking about sustainable energy. Now, given what is happening with the Ethereum network, right, we see that the gas fees have gone, higher and higher. And I was just reading up that 99.6 terawatt hours of electricity is required to run the Ethereum network, which is equivalent to the power required by Philippines and Belgium, right? So given that scenario, you see a lot of new L1 infrastructure blockchains coming up, which are more energy efficient, where the gas fees are much lower than what exists in the market. Where do you see that trend going?
It's actually sustainability is such an important part. especially if we start going away from like these very crypto specific use cases to mainstream use cases. We want this technology to change the entire world, not just a few million people's lives. And so in order for us to do that, you don't just need a super fast and cheap blockchain. You need a blockchain that does not have the environmental impact that many of the layer 1s and 2s did. But I would sort of equate it to the same thing as, you don't judge cars as a technology on the first version of cars. The first version of cars were heavily pollutant and were very difficult to build and very difficult to drive. But you don't say cars were a bad invention because the first version of the car was really bad for the environment, right? You kept innovating and kept innovating, and today got to a Tesla that is technically at least much better for the environment. And so that's just the natural process of innovation is we need to set a high standard, which is that sustainability is important and that standard needs to be kept high. But it takes time to do the innovation necessary to squeeze every last bit of efficiency out of these systems. And we're already seeing great examples of layer 1s that have solved this to a tremendous degree using different consensus mechanisms like proof of stake to solve this problem. But that's not going to be the end of it. There's going to be somebody who will innovate even more and make this even better. And that's the standard that we have to set for ourselves, and not really judge it on the first version, but judge it on the standard that we all as a community set for the engineers and the entrepreneurs working on solving this problem.
And Hamiz, you said Plutus 21 invests in ecosystems and platforms. And so, with evolution in mind, what do you look for in these various ecosystems and platforms to identify which ones you think are going to evolve over time to be able to support the requirements that global adoption of decentralized applications will bring?
So we believe that in an open source environment where most of the intellectual property is easily accessible, there's only one durable competitive advantage. Everything else can be replicated, but the only durable competitive advantage is network effects. And so that always goes back to whether this technology is actually improving somebody's life. Cool technology is not worth much, if worth anything. It's only useful technology that's worth something. And so in order for us to judge how useful a technology is to people, we have to look at the adoption trends. We have to look at if people are continuously using this, if developers are continuously building on this technology, and what is the adoption trend for each of these different projects and protocols. And so that's really how we sort of anchor our investment decisions. We look at a variety of other things, but at the core of it, what we're looking for is a very obvious adoption trend, and we want to back the protocols and platforms that are actually solving problems for people and are not just replicating what might already be out there.
So stay away from the memes and focus on the utility. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Like I've never, even as a joke, invested in a meme. Those are, like I said, you have a better shot at making it in Vegas than you do with some of these meme investments. So, like, you need to be able to have a deep, fundamental conversation about each of your investments if you're truly investing. If you're gambling, that's different. But I can speak about each of our positions for an entire day, and I will not mention ever whether Elon Musk likes it or not. Right? Like, that's not important to me. What's important is fundamentally are they solving a problem and are they doing it in a unique way.
Hamiz, that was great information you brought us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, would you like to tell us, our listeners, how they can reach you and if they have any questions?
Yeah, you can reach us on our website. It's www.plutus21, Plutus21.com.
Thank you very much again. And today's show was sponsored by Shardeum, a Dallas-based blockchain project working on building a faster blockchain to power a more decentralized world. Are you looking to work in the blockchain space and have experience building scalable systems with Node.js? Send us your resume at jobs@shardus.com. That is jobs@shardus.com. Tired of paying high gas fees on slow networks? Then check out Shardeum, the EVM-compatible sharded blockchain with low fees, true decentralization, and solid security. Learn more and join the community at shardeum.org. That is shardeum.org.